COVID-19 has been in the forefront for over a year now, and it can be easy to forget that other health issues are still very much prevalent. Now, the CDC found that STD rates have hit yet another record high in 2019, and Douglas County is above the national average. 3 News Now reporter Ruda Sinaida joins us live in the newsroom to break down this alarming data. Hey, Ruda.
Good evening, Maya. The data is startling. A 30% increase in STDs from 2015 to 2019, making 2019 the 6th consecutive year that STD rates have reached an all-time high. On top of that, we reported months ago that STD clinics had to close their doors to focus on vaccination efforts, leaving the community worried about where that will leave us after the pandemic. It's an issue not many are comfortable talking about, but an issue that needs to be addressed. Sexually transmitted diseases are at an all-time high nationally for the 6th year in a row. CDC released new data that shows not only are STD rates skyrocketing, but there are serious discrepancies in the communities experiencing that spike. For example, in 2019, STD rates for Black people were 5 to 8 times higher than those that are white.
It's sad, I feel like we're not doing our job properly educating the community. Awareness is the number one to alleviate some of this issue.
Dr. Sammy Zenadine with CHI Health not only has seen higher rates of STDs at his clinic, but all throughout Douglas County.
Douglas County has historically had one of the highest STD rates in the country.
Looking at chlamydia rates alone, Douglas County fares worse than both Nebraska and the national average.
So we aren't necessarily the worst, but it's not great. And I think part of that is just because we have such an increased testing amount here.
Douglas County Health STD Prevention and Control Supervisor Leah Kazanove says thanks to multiple community efforts, the county is testing at a much higher rate than the rest of the state, hence those higher numbers. But now the Douglas County STD clinic isn't testing at all. It has been closed for the last 4 months so staff can be utilized to help with the COVID-19 vaccination effort.
I'm glad we have such good connections with our community partners because they've been kind of picking up the slack when we haven't been able to.
Planned Parenthood in Omaha has stepped up to test and treat individuals during the pandemic.
Our Omaha clinic specifically, we've actually been seeing higher than average testing numbers.
Andy says that is good news. If people don't get tested, more spread occurs, especially when many STDs don't have any symptoms. She says regular checkups are what's going to prevent a health crisis within a health crisis.
Are we going to be having another epidemic when we come back? I mean, like we essentially moved from this one to an STD one.
Health officials say they expect to see similar numbers in 2020, despite some clinic closures.
Yeah, and Ruda, that data is very interesting. And I know you mentioned that Black people had up to 8 times the STD rates than white individuals in 2019. What about other groups of people?
Well, Maya, the data shows that the STD burden is unequal in different groups of people. For example, American Indians and other Pacific Islanders had 3 to 5 times the rates of white individuals, and the Latino population had 1 to 2 times the rate of white individuals.
Yeah, those are some real discrepancies there. Did the medical experts offer an insight as to why this is?
I talked to multiple health officials and they blame it on lack of resources, lack of education, and lack of access to health care. It's a problem they say they're working on to help overcome, especially with new efforts like at-home STD testing that people can simply just send back for free. They hope that picks up in popularity if people aren't comfortable going into the office.
Now, is there any word on when the Douglas County STD clinic will open back up?
Unfortunately, they don't think that clinic will open up until late summer because it is expected that more of the younger population will soon be able to get vaccinated for COVID-19, and they'll need all hands on deck for that. Fortunately, Planned Parenthood as well as Charles Drew and One World Community Health are still open for STD testing at low cost, so you can get some of those services there.
All right, good information there. Thank you, Ruda. Now, for more on this in-depth look at high STD rates in our area and more resources, visit our website, 3newsnow.com. There you can read more about the data and what local health officials are saying.